Today's episode of the Energy Newsbeat podcast is brought to you by Enverus. The energy industry faces massive challenges every day, and the events over the last 2 years have caused huge disruptions like never before. Companies in the energy industry need actionable intelligence and a single source of truth that brings all the data together. Enverus is the energy specialized technology partner that provides intelligent connections for a global energy ecosystem. Only Enverus has the analytics, people, experience, and industry scope to connect the right data and information in the right way to discover missed opportunities and deliver fast outcomes. Find out more at Enverus.com. That's ENVERUS.com.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Today's Friday, but not only is today Friday, we have a special guest by the Energy Newsbeat podcast. My name is Stu Turley, President and CEO of the Sandstone Group, and we have Irina Slav. I mean, she is one of my favorite authoresses out there, and she is an energy expert like you wouldn't believe. Good morning, Irina. How are you?
Good morning, Stu. I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'll tell you, I don't even have to study for your biography because I'm almost like a stalker on social media. You just have some great stuff that you put out there. When are you starting your comedy tour?
I don't know. I should probably, build some more material, but I've got plans for this Sunday because there's been so much comedy-worthy news in the past couple of weeks. I missed last week because I can't remember why now, but I am preparing some stand-up stuff or sit-down stuff for this Sunday. I hope people will enjoy it.
I'll tell you, for any of my listeners out there, you've got to subscribe to Irina's Substack. And I mean, not only follow her on oilprice.com, and her Substack, her humor is worth it just alone. Dry, to the point, and funny. So anyway, you're in a target-rich environment because there's so much stupidity going on around the world. I have never seen this much stupidity. Even you can't even call it stupid anymore. It's that bad. Okay, to set the stage for this conversation, we've had Biden, what was it, 2 years ago, a year ago, whatever, when he gave the middle finger to Saudi Arabia and really caused some political problems there. He went over and he declared war on the U.S. Oil and gas. Then he tripled down on stupid now, and he went over and begged for oil. This is not just doubling down on stupid. This is tripling down on stupid. Yeah. Goes over and begs for oil with the fist bump that lived in infamy. I mean, that is
really, really sad to watch.
Yeah. Oh, it was painful.
Yeah.
The Saudi people and the Saudi leadership, I can't blame them for the way they are reacting. It
could really, yeah, I know.
I mean, they have been insulted, and in their environment, a fist bump is an insult. I'm sorry. It's you react to people's social, their culture. You don't go in and set the tone like that. So Saudi Arabia then gives the double finger to Biden by not only cutting $1 million just to get their production levels back, then they go ahead and go in and do this. Now, I'm going to quit talking because I want to hear your opinion on all this. I was just trying to set the stage of triple down on stupid and that. So tell us what your thoughts are.
Well, you actually said it just the way I was going to say it.
Oh,
we have seen the Biden administration flip the bird to Riyadh, and now we are seeing Riyadh respond in kind. Really, they're giving as good as they're getting, and as you say, who could blame them? I think the reason for this total utter stupidity On the one hand, it's panic because the Biden administration really panicked this year when price at the pump started to rise and didn't stop rising until they really interfered into the supply picture with this massive release from the SPR. But at the same time, I studied some Middle Eastern history when I was in college. It was my favorite region to study, actually, because so much is happening and it's also interesting, very tragic. But there seems to be a sense in the West, and by the West, I mean mostly the UK and the US when it comes to Saudi Arabia, that because they helped them develop their oil resources, but not out of benevolence or generosity, but because they wanted to ensure their own supply of oil. I think they became complacent, and they thought that because of the US and UK help developing Saudi oil resources, and not just Saudi, but the Gulf kingdoms, these kingdoms will always take the side of the West because they would feel indebted to the West. And they will always, sing to their tune. Now we are discovering this is not the case. And that's because things are changing in the world. And I think the US and the UK kind of slept through this because they were so certain the game will continue to be played by their rules. Well, it's not happening this way. So I was going to ask you if you heard a loud slapping noise on Wednesday morning, which was Wednesday afternoon in Vienna, where OPEC Plus was meeting. And there was the sound of the slap that Saudi Arabia and the UAE, in the face of the new Secretary General of OPEC, that's the slap they delivered to Washington. It was
yes.
Everybody is shocked, and all the news reports I've been reading since this decision was made, everybody's talking about a shock. It seems they didn't expect this, but they should have expected, they should have anticipated it, but they didn't, because the US right now is in the role of the school bully, which has been the only bully for years. I'm sorry, I love you. I love all my American friends. I know the US is full of good people, thinking people,
right?
People, but they're not the ones making the decisions, which is really, really sad and bad for the country and the world, if you like.
Right. Well, I would vote for David Blackman as
Secretary. If I could, yeah.
Secretary of Energy. I'd like to be the Secretary of Defense, to be honest with you. I would change.
The U.S. Secretary of Defense, or maybe even the Secretary of State. Why not?
Oh, that would be even better, because I love talking to people. See, and that's what you got. Not really, but anyway. When we sit back and we take a look, did you notice when Boris went over to the Saudis, he got a purple rug?
I didn't pay attention to the colors of the rugs. No,
it makes a difference. And when you take a look at Biden, he got a purple rug. But when Trump went over, he got the red carpet. He got a whole different one, because why? Trump treated them with respect.
Oh, yes, he did that. Yeah.
And so Trump was mean on Twitter. I mean, okay, if you can't stay on Twitter with a little bit of thick skin, get off Twitter.
And he's a showman at heart. I mean, he likes performing.
Okay, did I agree with everything with Trump? Heck no. Was he entertaining? Heck yes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And you and I love humor, but think about that. If the Saudis respect you, they will work with you. I have no problem with their decisions that they just made. I applaud them for giving the double barrel finger to the United States. That sounds kind of weird, but
Yeah, this is what's happened.
Yeah. So what do you think this is going to do? Because you and Armando and David have had some great conversations. What are your thoughts on what this is going to do to the price?
To the price?
Yeah, oil price.
Well, it will start going up after a while. It won't start going up immediately. I mean, for now, the reaction of the market has been, slow, sort of cautious, because really the announced cuts are not the actual cuts. The actual cuts are half of the announced cut, but still, basically, we have the two members of OPEC who have the capacity to increase production. We have them actually slash production now. On the one hand, this is because they said themselves that their spare production capacity is not exactly huge. So right. They have been trying to protect that. And then there's the other consideration, which they also openly spoke about at the OPEC Plus meeting, that because of the negative outlook for the global economy and for European economies and the US economy, they're trying to anticipate a drop in demand, which would devastate prices. Now, could you really argue with this? I wouldn't. I mean, they have the right to anticipate future developments. If these developments don't pan out the way they expect them to, they're because the price will be higher anyway, because supply will be squeezed. And let's not forget that the anti-Russian oil embargo is coming into effect in December for Europe. It's not funny for Europeans, Stu. It's not funny at all.
No, I'm laughing at
it's hilarious.
It's horrible. I mean, but if we, I mean, when I do something stupid, my wife tells me about it, and she expects it from me to be stupid. But when you have elected officials doing stuff stupid, I mean, it's okay because I'm a podcast host. Who cares, right?
Yeah.
If you don't like me, turn me off. Yeah. But on the other hand, the EU sanctions don't work. You and I ought to have t-shirts made. Let's have Chris and Kat do a design like you did on your logo. Let's go out there and have
write these down, t-shirts.
Yeah, wouldn't this be great? Sanctions don't work.
Yeah,
they don't. All they hurt are consumers. You preach that. I mean, I would go to your church on Sunday mornings just to hear you say that. Honestly, it is absolutely a hoot. And now we're going to triple down on stupid and put a cap on Russia. What is that going to do?
No, they're putting an embargo on Russian oil. But did you hear the best joke this week? I mean, you probably heard the Germans, the German government specifically, the German people, I really sympathize with them, but the German government is revealing itself as really something with very huge comedic potential. Now, I've heard about their finance minister suggesting that they put a price cap on all gas imports, including LNG, but making this cap much higher than market prices. Did you hear about that?
No.
Okay, so he went and said that. And I thought, okay, this is rock bottom. You can't get any stupider than this. And then Habeck said, hold my beer. And he went and told the Americans, you want too much money for your LNG.
All right. I went to Oklahoma State University, where they do a lot of fun things there, but that I don't get it. My head just exploded. That is just about as dumb as I've heard.
Yeah. He did that. I mean, Reuters reported it, quoted them. I assume this is real news, not fake news. So yeah, that happened.
Now, Irina, you and I have talked about, it doesn't matter to us what you use as far as energy goes. Let's get the lowest kilowatt per hour to the citizens. I could care less if it's a windmill or anything else. Let's let the markets decide.
Yeah, as
And,
long as it's affordable. Yeah.
and as long as there's no subsidies. And it, and Germany, I did read somewhere that they are canceling more nukes. I mean, they are stopping nuclear reactors.
No,
Uh,
the last is, I think they have reconsidered and they are thinking about extending the lives of 2 power plants, I think.
okay.
Yeah. There is
Oh,
hope then, but I don't know.
well, how's Bulgaria's situation right now?
It's interesting because we just had elections with
Okay,
turnout of about a third of the voting population, which I don't need to tell you is not good at all.
right,
We do not have a clear majority in parliament, so now there will be talks and talks about a coalition, and they probably won't be able to form a coalition government, so we'll probably be voting again in about 6 months, at least. This is my expectation. Yeah, because the parties with the most votes do not want to work together. Some want to work with the others, but the others have basically based their campaign in the elections on the premise that we will not work with those guys because they're bad and we want to fight them and we're not going to rule with them. So it's interesting, especially just a couple of months before winter comes, winter proper.
right,
Yeah, it's an interesting situation. But I think the caretaker government, which is currently in power, I think they managed, or the former government even, I think they managed to secure a delay in the embargo for Bulgaria until 2024, which tells you a lot about the EU's plans with regard to sanctions and oil embargoes. But because we get 100% of our oil from Russia, from Lukoil,
right,
and it operates the only refinery in Bulgaria, we kind of need that oil for at least a while longer until they
right.
reconfigure the refinery to work with other crudes. So we got that at least. We got the
Well,
big.
that is actually great for the citizens.
Of course it is. Yeah, you have to do something in the interests of your citizens, not just to advance your abstract Euro-Atlantic values, which most of our governments in the past 10 years have been, banging on about. No, I want affordable energy, I want affordable food, and that's what everyone in the country wants. In any country, this is what people want, except the 1% super rich who couldn't care less how much food costs or fuel costs. But the majority of people have much more, physical considerations
Right.
to make than philosophize about values and this and that and right and wrong and all that.
Wow. I had been, in fact, my young compadre that was a podcast host, we had a daily show, and I kept telling him, you cannot print this much money for years without inflation coming around the corner. And I mean, I'd been a big proponent saying this energy policy is going to be a worldwide catastrophe. He's like, no, he's millennial. Best millennial I know, though. And we sit back and we look at what has been done damage-wise to all of the cultures by printing money. And so you can't print money without inflation. Then you have the politics of, and where I'm going with this is Russia, you can't have a plan to get low cost energy. There was somebody yesterday that said they're going to double down or triple down on stupid. And the only way for them to get out of importing Russian oil is to print more money and put in renewables. I mean, I have to go find what article that was. It was, It's like, you
Doesn't
got to
stop.
be kidding me. You
Yeah.
can't do that. It got you here. Why would you do even more?
You know what's interesting? The other day I just had this totally random idea. What exactly was the definition of hyperinflation? You know, because
Right.
nobody's talking about hyperinflation, because of course you can't have hyperinflation in developed economies.
Right.
But oddly enough, all the definitions I read online
Yep.
include printing too much money. Every single definition contained this. Yes, you print too much money, but purchasing power falls because there's too much money, but there's not enough products.
Right.
It started to sound really familiar. I don't want to be a doomsayer. I mean, I'm no economist.
You know,
Just printing randomly, it's not a good thing, printing a lot of money to try and rein in inflation.
Turkey, I believe it had a 75 or 80%
It
inflation.
has a huge inflation rate, and it's had it for years.
Yes.
Yeah, it still operates. I mean, the country functions.
I don't know
That's
how,
not
I
that
mean,
bad, you know.
do what?
It's probably not that bad if Turkey keeps functioning despite this huge inflation rate.
Right. Everybody's using Bitcoin. I'm kidding. That was a joke.
I don't know, but I don't think a lot of people in Turkey are happy with the inflation rate. But,
No, you know, I think that I'm seeing, and this is, let me go back to Saudi Arabia. There was a U.S. report, I believe a U.S. reporter, but there was somebody there. Did you see her insult the entire committee?
Yeah.
What a moron. I mean, this person was, I was crawling under my desk. I was so embarrassed as a US citizen.
I know. That was Hadley Gamble from CNBC. Yeah, she's one of the top energy reporters. I was quite stunned, to be honest, to hear these accusations, ask these questions. She really gave it her all, but yeah, it wasn't non-embarrassing, definitely.
I mean, when she kept beating them up and slapping them, and I don't know if I'm going to say this right, so please correct me, but if you slap somebody with the sole of your foot in that part of the world, in your shoe, it's a big insult because the sole of your foot, she just hit him in the face with her shoe. I mean, it was a huge insult. And I don't know who the prince was here. There was the head, I believe, of OPEC Plus.
General, yes.
And he goes, we always have an open door and nobody's been knocking.
Yeah.
They showed wonderful restraint. I'm sorry.
They're in the stronger position. And I think it's in their culture to not lash out.
Right.
Militarily when they have regional conflicts. But yes, they did show restraint. But did you notice how the Saudi energy minister, first he shut down a Reuters reporter,
right,
accusing him of reporting false news, non-existent news, and then he shut down Hadley Gamble too.
Right.
Yeah, but he just answered with a question: "Show me where the belligerence is."
Yes.
Yeah.
No, and
it wasn't the best day for journalism, definitely.
No, I was like, that's about as dumb as it gets. Okay, so politicians being stupid, we can expect. Journalism is in the US is not really a thing. And the only way I can get my news is from, 3 people that are having an international podcast. I mean, I happen to know one of them. Oh, I know the other ones too, but That would be the international energy transition. I'm trying to make a joke. So you're like, Stuart, that was a weak joke. But
Oh, I don't know how many people doing podcasts,
but
but read the same news. I mean, we don't have the resources to, research every single bit of information. We don't have the network of contacts that
right.
Media outlets have. And what they're doing with this massive resources is this, attacking. And then Bloomberg's Javier Blas went on Twitter to say it is not good form to refuse to answer questions from a certain news organization. Well, if I don't like the questions for particular reasons which I'm prepared to lay out publicly,
Right.
then I have the right to not answer these questions.
Absolutely. If I
as a whole, I mean, he shut down this journalist and referenced another journalist who had failed to understand what he had been telling her. I mean, the man is within his rights to not answer questions.
And I would have not held as much composure as they did. I'm sorry, I would have really brought up the double finger from Biden to us. I would have said, you started it. I'm sorry, I would have sounded like a little kid. Hey, why are you beating me up? I'm only, you're president. I was going to say lousy president, but that would be bad. But our lousy president, I did say lousy president, started this mess.
Yeah. Well, I don't know what to say. It was embarrassing to watch, and it wasn't professionally, fulfilling
And
but
anyway, okay, now that we've solved the world's problems, what do you got going on this weekend?
I'm going to be working on my stand-up for some. It's the weekend. I need some rest, and because I can't give up news. Apparently, I have to keep being in the news, even if I'm trying to make the stories even funnier than they are. Then that's what I'll be doing. And I'll probably be planning my stories for next week, unless some surprising report comes out, as it usually does, and adds more targets to my environment.
It is a target-rich environment.
It is a very, very target-rich environment, and it's going to be richer when the weather turns cold. Did you hear that gas consumption? It never ends. I mean, the stories never end.
Did I hear what?
Gas consumption in Germany in September rose by 15% on last year's September because the weather was colder.
Right.
I mean, after all these months of politicians telling people you need to consume less gas, you need to get
short showers.
Yeah, short showers, low temperatures and so on. What do the Germans go and do? Turn up the heating. I mean, that's obscene.
Yeah. But they expect you in Bulgaria and all the other European countries to cut, but they don't want to cut. Right.
Well, no one anywhere, no citizen, ordinary citizen anywhere would willingly cut its energy consumption unless they are really, really concerned about the environment, or they really want to defy Putin by not taking showers.
Right.
Once a week. There are people like this, they are doing this, that's fine, but these are individual people. It's not the millions you need to consume less energy.
No, and anyway, well, we're out of time, Irina, but I really, really appreciate you and everything that you're doing for humor on the planet. News reporting, and we're going to have all your contact information and how to follow you in the show notes. So thank you, and we'll see you next month.
Thank you, Stu. Always a pleasure.